The Oxford Union is no ordinary student society. It is, at least in theory, the world's most famous debating chamber. A place where presidents and prime ministers, activists, artists have tested their ideas against the fiercest scrutiny. And with that history comes responsibility. I remember it was a thing I was persuaded to join shortly after I arrived in Oxford. I had no doubts that it was the right thing to do. I do now, and I'm seriously wondering whether or not to resign from my membership of the Oxford Union, which I still retain, I believe. But because today the Union faces a crisis that strikes at its very core. George Abaraonye, the president-elect, stands accused of celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the American conservative activist. The words now infamous, "Charlie Kirk got shot, let's effing go," and Charlie Kirk got shot, LOOL. However flippant, however impulsive, these are not the words of a Union president. And the right response to political violence is not celebration. A debating society survives only if it insists that disputes are settled by argument, not by the bullet of an assassin. When 70 senior ex-members of the Oxford Union, including former presidents, MPs, business leaders, write that Mr. Abaraonye's callousness is inconsistent with the Union's mission, they are absolutely correct. The president of the Union is not merely a chair of meetings. He or she is the custodian of a 200-year tradition of civil debate. To say, in effect, good riddance when a political opponent is gunned down is to betray that custodianship, and betrayal has consequences. And Mr. Abaraonye may have apologized. He says his words were an unprocessed response shaped by the cruelty of Kirk's own rhetoric on guns, Gaza and minority rights. He stresses his opposition to no platforming and his belief in free speech. All of this may be true, yet apologies cannot erase what was said in that raw moment. The presidency is not a personal right, it's a trust. And once that trust is broken, it is not for the holder to repair it at leisure, it is for the institution to be safeguarded. Already speakers have threatened to withdraw, already the reputation of the Union is under strain. The spectacle of disciplinary hearings and potential no-confidence votes will drag on, undermining the very purpose of the society, and so the honourable course is the simple one, resignation. And some will argue this is a free speech issue, but we shouldn't confuse matters. Mr. Abaraonye has every right to say what he did, and critics have every right to condemn him. Free speech protects you from the law, not from the consequences of leadership, and there's a difference between the two. The principle here is not about what he may say, but about what he represents. A president who cheers political murder cannot credibly preside over debates on liberty, justice, and the rule of law. Others will say he's faced racist abuse, and that is both true and abhorrent in its own form. But racism directed at him, as cruel and disgraceful as it is, does not cancel out his own error. To oppose one wrong is not to excuse the other. So if he truly loves the Union, if he respects its tradition, he should step aside voluntarily now. And to resign is not to surrender to mob pressure. It is to demonstrate that the institution is greater than the individual. It is to show that the Oxford Union will not be dragged down by one man's reckless impulse. The Union's motto is Fortiter in re, suaviter in modo, strong indeed, gentle in manner. Strong indeed would be for Mr. Abaraonye to acknowledge his presidency is untenable. Gentle in manner would be for the rest of us to say he remains free to speak, to argue, to contest, but not to preside. In the end, the issue is not politics but principle. A debating society cannot be led by someone who treats assassination as a joke. The honour of the Oxford Union demands more, and that is why George Abaraonye should resign today.